Hi, Gail here. Welcome to Life Coaching with Gail. I just hit the cord. I hope that didn't crackle down the line and hurt your ears. I am here at the beginning of March 2024 and I can't believe we are already moving through this year. It looks like it's going to move fast, people. So if you've got something planned, this is your year that you can be the most successful at it. If you put in a bit of effort, more effort you put in, the better it will be. But when I say effort, it's like I was brought up. Life is hard, you work hard, you have to work hard. Reality is, I've been shown you don't have to work hard. You simply have to work smart or more efficiently or just a little bit more easily. So, how are you navigating through 2024? Is it easier or harder than last year? We have a whole lot of different energies this year. They're very strong. So just a little reminder on a personal level, you may feel a little more worked up than normal. You might feel a little bit more annoyed at people and situations than normal. This comes with the strong energy. So strong energies give you a chance to channel them in a different or new direction. They give you a chance to channel them into even things that you've been wanting to get moving in your life, wanting to get push forward with in your life. And I've noticed, I don't know if you've noticed, but there seems to be a lot of, people being a little nasty, people being a little bit short with you, perhaps a little bit angry toward you, accusatory and criticising of you. And that's because they've got this strong energy. It's just that they're not utilising it and they've got frustrations. Are you one of those people? Do you have a lot of frustrations? If you do, I'm just going to say to you, it's not to vent, it is to use. It is better and more useful to you personally to pour and vent that energy into something that actually matters, something that is practical, productive. A long time ago, I had to do the vacuuming. It might sound like a simple thing. My health was not good. I had a group of people coming around and I had to find the energy from somewhere to do the vacuuming. And I had always dealt with anger in my life and never liked it, always hated that it pushed people away, always hated that it was attacking and horrible, and it made me feel really bad. And I put a question up to the universe, because I always do. I say God because that is who I began talking to when I was a child about everything and every problem I had and every question I had. So I put it up to the universe, didn't want to be angry anymore, and I had seen the effects of anger. So when I was going through a huge life change and it was hugely emotional, I was curious about energy. I was learning about energy. I was learning about psychokinesis and telekinesis and all of those things that were quite intriguing that we'd not been taught about. And one of the things was around being able to move objects or affect objects with your emotions and your mind in a deliberate but also an undeliberate way. And I went to my place of work. I was working out of a room, and I remember feeling this really, really strong emotion. As I reached my room, I turned around And because I was aware by then that anger is destructive, that's why I didn't want to ever be angry. It is seriously destructive. And all you actually have to do is focus your anger on a plant, okay? And you will literally affect the way it grows. I was in a meditation type setting one time, and it was a whole group of people. We were doing a workshop, and we were instructed to form a circle and to face out and not into the circle. So we were facing out into the circle, and we were doing this as a deliberate exercise to express in volume, in words, in attitude, our angers, our frustrations, purely anger, purely frustration. And they started moving things out of the room. They were taking all of the plants out of the room. And someone asked, why are you doing that? And they said, well, because the amount of anger from all of you, I think there was about 30 or 40 of us, the amount of anger from all of you can literally kill plants. We have had this happen in bigger settings. So that surprised me. That made me start thinking, and that's where I decided that's it. You know, anger is destructive. Who would want anger? Who would need anger? Who would even think anger was anything valuable or good? And so I spent a while looking at the anger side of it, being very careful about actually not expressing anger, but being curious about, well, what could it be useful for? And then it was years, actually, a few years went past, and this is when I had this moment. I was outside my room getting ready to work, and my life had changed, and I had an enormous amount of emotion and grief and all sorts of things going on in my mind. And I knew that if I let this out, it would destroy people something in some way. Even if it made people feel bad, I would hate that. So I automatically went for the light switch. And it was a huge room. It was massive. So the room that I was standing in outside my door was, nobody was in it. It was the size of two houses put together. It was a big room, and in the middle there was this big light. It had lots of lights off of it, so it was a big light. And I remember just firing this energy at this light, this thoughts, my emotions at the light, and it went out. And I thought, okay, rightio. Okay, how am I going to explain this? Not good. The next thing, the guy in the shop downstairs came running up the stairs, and he says, my FPOS has gone out. And I said, yeah, the light's gone out up here, feeling actually quite terrible. I mean, what do? You can't say, well, I did that, and nobody would really understand, well, how did you do that? And so anyway, I went home feeling kind of bad about that because, again, here we go, anger is destructive. Came back in the morning, and on my way to the building, there was this enormous hole in the ground. It was the size of a normal bedroom. And I said to the guys, oh, what's going on? And they said, oh, the three-phase power blew, whatever that meant. Because apparently it had affected the entire block, not just the one shop downstairs. So I'm not feeling very good about this at this particular point in time. And because I realised that I was the one that actually set this off. Whether it was already in the works going to happen, I don't know, but I kind of felt responsible that I'd set this off. So then that was okay, and it was only about a week later, and I had another kind of explosive sort of, I'm a Leo, so I'm a fire sign, and I'm a rooster, fire rooster. So I've got double fire, which means I've got a lot of energy that can pack up inside me, which means I can potentially be very, very angry. It is not something I've ever been proud of and never wanted to have as part of my life. So a week later, after this had all been fixed, I had done a little bit of research. I'd been looking up videos and finding out about telekinesis and all sorts of things more, just so that I understood. And I'd been looking at, it was called PSI, it was Paranormal Scientific Investigations, that had been run by the states, I believe, and they had actually had people that they studied, that they took away, and they studied these people and what they could do and how that was possible. And there was one that I remember, and it was a woman, and her husband had left her, and she had her daughter in the kitchen, and she was boiling the kettle. And she was thinking, as the kettle boiled, she was thinking about her husband, breakup, her problems, what he'd done, why he'd done it, and all of that. And the little girl was, what, Mum, Mum, Mum. And she just was, she was just getting more and more upset, and energy was building and all sorts of things. The next thing that you see on this video, and it was obviously recreated, but it was of a true, real event, a true story, that the microwave started to vibrate, the toaster started to make electrical noises, every appliance in her kitchen, and there were quite a few, started to kind of act up, vibrate, move, and she was completely unaware of this until her daughter was screaming, it snapped her out of it, and something blew up, and she freaked out because she realised that this had all gone on. So she contacted someone, I don't remember who, but they took her back to the laboratories or to the place they had. In those days, computers were from the floor to the ceiling, and they were along all the walls, lining all the walls of this very enormous place, warehouse, whatever. It was all scientifically set up to study different things. So they got her to sit down, and they said, okay, the psychic test, to test if somebody is psychic, is to have 5 cards with varying symbols on them, and to get the person to guess what those symbols were. So the woman failed miserably at this. So they knew she wasn't psychic, but that's how they classified anybody that had abilities, that firstly they must be able to see what the card meant when they were only facing the back of the card. Anyway, she failed miserably at that, and miserably at all the other tests, and they decided they were going to have a break, and they said, would you like a cup of tea? And she said, yes, please. So they bring her this cup of tea, and they go back to their booth. They start just talking about everything else and how this isn't anything, and she's got nothing, and she must have made it up, and all this kind of stuff. And the next thing, of course, she's sitting there with her cup of tea. So what happens? She's sitting with a cup of tea. She sits and she starts thinking about herself, her life, her unhappiness, everything that her husband has done, the problems that have been caused by this, what she's going to do about money and food and her daughter and everything else going forward. And the cup, again, she becomes actually very unaware of her surroundings. She's just in her feelings. And the water, the tea in the cup starts to ripple. The cup starts to vibrate. The saucer starts to vibrate. But then it all starts to build. And it builds and it builds. And at some point, the scientists in the booth realised something was going on, because the window that they were behind started to vibrate and make noises. And they didn't actually know it was the woman. They didn't know what was going on. The computers on the wall started to blow. And then the window that they were behind smashed. And then they looked at this woman, and she was in a complete trance, if you like. She was just completely in her feelings. And they realised, and they actually just had to stop her, which meant they just placed a hand on her shoulder and said her name, and that snapped her back to reality. So energy is powerful. Our anger is powerful. How we focus it affects everything around us. And if, like her anger came out and spilled out all around her and further out. We've got an aura, an energy field. Hers went beyond her energy field and out even further. So it affected everything around her and the people in the end. So I was convinced, what on earth point is there in being angry? What does anger offer us? It's destructive. Is there anything positive about all that energy that we have inside us? And anger, especially the anger side of it, when it's so explosive. And I can remember pondering this, and I don't know how long it was, but this one day when it was probably months, I'd forgotten about it by then. And I was pondering doing the vacuuming, because I had, it was a group that I was taking coming around, and like I said, I hadn't vacuumed and I couldn't really get away with that for another week. So I was like, well, how am I going to do that? How am I going to have the energy to do the vacuuming and the class at the same time, because it was the day of. So I went to sleep, and I can remember having some really lovely dreams. I woke up feeling wonderful, excited, amazing, which was kind of odd anyway for me, because I'd been through such a hard period, a few years, and but I was like, oh, this is so good. I really noticed it because it was so outstandingly good. And then I got up, and the moment that I put my feet on the floor, I was overcome with anger. And I was like, what? I was curious enough that I asked why. I was like, why am I so angry? I had a lovely dream. I can kind of remember parts of it. So this was completely different, completely unusual, and out of the blue, because there had been no reason, no cause, nothing had happened, nothing made me angry that I could see, because my dream had been wonderful. So I kind of got up and I started doing things, and I was puzzled. Why am I so angry? Why am I so angry? This is just not, there's got to be a reason, because I was always angry for a reason. And then I got this little small voice, which is how it happens, and a little tap on my shoulder, which is how it happens, that said, you wanted to do the vacuuming. And I'm like, I'm too angry to do the vacuuming. At that time, anger was justified. If I was angry, there was a reason to be angry. And I knew there was no reason for me to be angry this time, but I still was like, oh, I'm just too angry to do the vacuuming. And then I just got another tap on the shoulder, and I thought, okay, whatever, I'll do the vacuuming then. And so I did. I did the vacuuming. It didn't take any time, and it didn't take any energy. When I was finished, I thought, I'm not tired. I'm not angry. And so I was like, okay. So I went and I put the vacuum cleaner away. And as I put the vacuum cleaner away, I got the voice, and the voice said, see, anger can be useful. So put any anger, any frustrations into something that satisfies you or will satisfy you. And I know sometimes we automatically do. If we're angry, we go for a run. If we're angry, we do the housework and whatever. But I'd never actually associated the usefulness of anger for that before. And this year is a power year. So this year, stronger emotions, stronger feelings to put to good use, and use in a very practical sense where something changes by what you've done. That's my clue to that. I have to say this, and I possibly said this again, this is not the year to be angry at a person. It is not the year to let your frustrations out on another human being. It is likely to have more of a negative effect on them this year. And if you are angry at somebody right now, simply breathe. Breathing is essential. We don't think about it, but I would really like you to be conscious and mindful of taking a breath, knowing that you are resetting. You are taking a pause. You are resetting your emotion. And breathing and focusing on something else, something different, something calmer. Sometimes if you're extraordinarily angry or upset, it's a very big drop to come to calmness. So you have to step it down. Something's like thinking about something that is active or looking at something that's active when you're feeling angry, and maybe looking at the way a couple of people are interacting if you're around people who are annoyed with each other, and just to being the observer for that, and that can help you to go breathe, tone it down. It can also help you observe actually the effects of people in conflict and give you an ability to assess whether it's useful conflict for good outcomes or whether it's actually something that's just wasting time. Your anger wastes time, your frustrations waste time, your stresses waste time, your worry wastes time. And we have to allow ourselves to experience all these emotions, simply doing them in a way that is more productive, safer, kinder, more caring. You know, if you are angry at the system, go and do something to help people in that system. Put all that energy of frustration with the system into helping the people that are caught in that system. And know that that's what you are doing, because that makes a huge difference. It can actually calm and settle your anger as well. So, to help yourself the most this year, so that this year is less challenging, is to look at the challenge, look at the problem, look at the person that is attacking you, and just go, okay, what's happening here? with the person, what's happening with them, what's happening in their lives that makes it that they feel they need to attack. So it is not personal. It's something that is very useful. If somebody is angry at you, it is not personal. It is their built up frustrations from all of last year, through the COVID, through all kinds of things that have happened over the last, 3 to 5 years. It is not personal. If someone is annoyed at you, it is not personal. That person really is having a struggle and a problem in their lives. And feel for them, because if they are being deliberately, actively hurtful and harmful to you, they actually have no idea what they are creating in their personal life that will be even more challenging than what they're facing now. And I can tell you, there are things that you go through that you would not want your worst enemy on the planet to ever have to face or ever have to go through. And if you haven't been through those things and felt that, then you may not ever have to, but likelihood is that you will have to. Your words matter, your kindness matters. If somebody is attacking you, send them love. You don't have to love their actions. You are loving the being that is there under all that human frustration. It is a person is a person. They are not their behaviours, okay? Their behaviours are their coping mechanism. And on that note, we will continue this session shortly. I am going to do the cards and I will give you a forecast for the March. Since we're at the beginning of March now, we will give you the next couple of weeks. We had February in our last session, so now we're going to have March, and I'm intrigued to see what March will bring. Right, so we are beginning of March 2024, and like every month, I draw a few cards to give you an idea of what energies are around for the month. Now, when I talk about energy, you could say vibration, you could say mood. They're all kind of very similar. We have different words, of course, to explain different things. So we could be looking at the mood of March. So March is, firstly, please, it will be a month where you can get your point across. It will be a month where you can speak your truth. Please, if you are saying things, make it with kindness. You know, one of the gifts of language is being able to articulate the meaning that you mean to say in your words in a kind, caring, natural way where it doesn't offend and it doesn't point fingers and it doesn't hurt. And one of the things I learned a long time ago was when you are talking to somebody, use the word I and avoid the word you in any sentence. The moment you say you to somebody, you are attacking them in their view. Think about it. If someone said you did this or you should do this, how does that make you feel? It makes you feel like you're being pointed at, blamed, not doing things right, all sorts of things. So, March is the month to be effective in what you say and what you communicate. So if you have if you're better at writing things down and you can trust that the message you convey will be read in the way it's meant to be, then write. So text, in other words, email. But if you're like me and your words are not conveying that meaning and feeling, just talk to the person, and because then you get a chance to explain what you say in a different way. Face to face is always the best when you're not confident in your writing. I observed something years ago when I was working in the bank, and that was couples when they split up. And you'd know these couples because they came in every now and again, and they got on reasonably well, and that was good. But when it came to a point of them breaking up, we would have them, they would come into the bank together, and they would discuss their finances together. Every single time that they went to a solicitor, the moment the first letter, and I mean the first letter, came from the solicitor, it came across our desk. And the wording in that letter was very provocative and blaming and insistent on certain terms and things like this. And then we'd have them have the person coming in on their own, and then the other person coming in on their own with a reply from the solicitor. So I got to see quite a bit of the dynamics of breakups, and chose myself if that ever happened to me, which it did in the end, that I would not have a solicitor involved. I would not have a third person involved who did not know us, did not know me, did not know our dynamic of relating to each other. So this is a really good month if you're doing anything of a legal sense, is to make sure the communication is flowing, make sure what you are wanting said to be said, stated on your terms, and read things first before they go out to any other party. Ask to read them first, okay? That's just a little, could be helpful, could save a whole lot of dramas. And seriously, life has dramas, people. We do not need to create dramas, and we must avoid dramas. And you can, because if you are playing a game of tennis and someone hits a ball at you and you hit it back, you're doing the same thing. You're participating. So don't pick up the bat. Don't hit the ball back. I know it's difficult, and we are human. So you must forgive yourself those things. So now we're going to look at what the next couple of weeks are going to bring for March in general, with the energy, the vibe, the mood, whatever. So if I look at you, what is one of the things that is coming up for March? So for some of you, we have changes coming up. There seems to be a theme of surprises, things that are unexpected events that will happen. These will be both positive and negative. I tend to look at everything as being positive. The changes that happen for you this month are changes that need to happen. It is a little bit like when you believe something, you believe it. It's your truth. It is absolutely, irrevocably your truth, right? It's like, no, I believe this because this is what happens. This is what has always happened. This is what happens every single time. So yes, in your reality, what you believe is actually reinforced by the universe in events and in situations around you. There's something about being human that's important, that you have those beliefs as building blocks that give you an identity, help you operate in different ways in the world from bases of truth, all sorts of things. So, sorry, sometimes my words get a bit tangled. So, this month, it is, if you have been just cruising along and nothing's happened and you're kind of sick of waiting for it to happen, things will change this month. And in a way where it helps you to reset your view on things. It helps you to look at things in a slightly different way. It is important. Every single thing that happens, every change that happens in your life and in your month of March that happens to you is important and had to happen. It had to happen because you're ready for new things, you're ready for other things, you're ready to take on different viewpoints, form a new belief. And if you know anything about beliefs, then they're very difficult to break. They are very difficult to change. And we have a core belief that all our beliefs are built on, like the layers of the onion. So if you are looking at challenging personally one of your beliefs, you simply look out there further into the world where it's not true. Okay? If you want to change a belief, you look out there into the world at another person or other people where that belief is not true. It could be the absolute opposite. So say, okay, so sometimes, okay, I said about this at the beginning, so let's go, right, I was taught life is hard, you have to work hard, okay? So that was a belief that I had, that you just had to work hard to get anywhere in life. That's what I believed. And then I worked hard, and that all got, when my life changed, that all just disappeared. So that was well, what was that all about? So it challenged my belief in the fact that you work hard and you succeed. Okay? So in some ways, yes, not in the way that I was thinking. And then I came across those young people who, the guy on Trade Me, still on video YouTube, if you want to look him up, and I've said about this before, but it's a really good story. It is a young guy who wanted to move out of his parents' house, didn't want to work, he didn't want to do the normal things, he just didn't want to, he wanted his own house. And Trade Me was brand new, and he was looking at it on the screen, didn't have anything to trade, and then he turned his view and looked at his fingers, and in his fingers he had a paperclip, and he started to twiddle with it and whatever, and he wondered, I wonder if I could trade this for something. And I think it was a set of coffee mugs, it was something anyway, so he traded, and then he traded. He wanted his own house within a year, by the way, so there were more stipulations around it that he put up. But in a year, he had his own home, long story short. And that showed me he didn't work hard. That didn't cost him anything to do that. He just traded one thing for another. And then there was another guy, and he realised that he wanted to be a millionaire. And he realised that the computer screen he was staring at had 1 million pixels. And this is, back in the day, had 1 million pixels. And he thought, I wonder if I could sell an ad. And if I sold an ad, I could sell 1 million ads because there's 1 million pixels. So that's what he did. And yes, that's what he did. He became a millionaire. Those two stories changed my perspective on working hard to succeed. And I have yet to be able to incorporate that in my life. However, I understand it. It shattered a belief. So this month, March, is around your beliefs being challenged by situations and circumstances around you. Okay, these can be like someone winning lotto. It can just absolutely change everything. But there's many other examples and situations. So let's have another look at what you can be looking forward to in March, in this month. So there is guidance, help, support around you. Now, this is from people who cross your path. This is sent by your loved ones in spirit, because you are not alone. This is maybe some request that you have asked for, that you need help with. And this month, keep your eyes open for possibilities of what that might look like. And we've talked a little bit about this before. If you have had a lack of direction, if you have a lack of clarity, this month there will be signs, signals. I can hear you. I know maybe signs, signals don't mean anything. Maybe you feel like you missed them all. It is actually not the case. There is an unconscious part of yourself that automatically picks up on certain cues. So think about it when you meet a person, right? So you don't know this person, they might be a complete stranger, but you get a vibe, and then you get a kind of a hint of what kind of person they might be, depending on your clarity of vision and your ability to pick up on the physical cues. You can have more information around that, but your unconscious self picks up on all those cues. Automatically you draw to you the person or the thing that you are requiring an answer from or help from. And sometimes that can come in a backwards fashion. It can sometimes seem to be a difficult person or a difficult situation. But if you have been asking for direction and asking for help, just be curious. So what about this can give me direction? And sometimes if somebody's difficult, perhaps they're mirroring to you a part of yourself that is stopping yourself in your tracks, stopping things coming to you easily. So it is, but it is guidance. Guidance comes like in many forms, in many different ways. But the promise is, March, there is guidance. Now, if you have a focus in a project and something you want to succeed at, this month, please look for those kind of ideas. Look for ideas. Look for things that remind you of what it is you're looking for, or are similar to the things you're looking for. Sometimes we think, yes, that's, but not quite. That's a cue, but that's not quite. That doesn't fit because of this and that. If you can get your humanness out of the way and just go, so what about that is going to work for me with what I'm doing? And you don't have to go, oh, I know the answer. You just simply go, well, I'll just wait and see. I'll just carry on until I find out what that might be. So a lot of guidance, a lot of help. Ask for the things that are important to you. Ask for what you need. Money, seriously, I understand how hard it is. Money is one of those things, but is that the thing to be asking for? Well, absolutely, I guess. However, what about asking for the lifestyle that would work best for you? So if it would be working 3 days a week, ask for that. Would it be making money from your own project, your own business? Ask for how that can be done. Ask to be shown. I always feel, for me personally, I get in my own way. Sometimes I make barriers and excuses, and I see reasons why it cannot be. And so what I have done and developed over the years is, okay, I understand I could not maybe see this. or understand it when a sign comes or a signal. So I need to be shown. Show me. Show me, and until then, I'll just carry on doing what I'm doing. But show me the answer, show me the direction, show me how I can have this lifestyle. Now, be prepared. You get what you ask for. You get what you ask for. Be prepared that life will change and alter around you. See it as a positive, not a negative. Go, okay, so I've asked for this, so this has happened, so that had to happen first. Can't see the reason, but okay, now what? Show me. And that means you're open, you're ready for the next step, you've not put up barriers, you don't have to go through all of the drama of the working out the emotions and trying to think of it over in your head. You simply go, okay, in like thin air, seriously, you do it to thin air. You don't have to believe in God, you don't have to believe in the universe. There is something that creates life that is magical and has a magical aspect to it. So just be curious, just be interested, just kind of look as if you're not part of the world, but just looking at everybody in the world, and any situation that's happening isn't attached to you, but it's just a situation. Give that a go and see how that goes. So we'll have another little look and see what March else can bring for you this month. Oh, and you are able this month to be more creative, to use the skills of creativity that you have. And yes, you do have creative skills. You might not be able to paint, but you might be able to think outside the square. You might have a creative brain that can actually solve problems or think of new ways that can improve an article or all sorts of things, okay? So creativity, your creativity, you have that side. If you don't know it, wake it up. Best way to wake it up is just get a canvas, put 3 colours on it that you like. Colours that you like, 3 colours, splash it on, throw colour at it, do whatever, and then put it on the wall. Because that's you. You've done that. You've created something. And guess what? A lot of art sells that's blotches and just paint thrown at it. So, hey, Picasso, here you come. Right. So let's look at March again. So what else have we got for you? For March, what else will March bring to you, to your life? A little bit of magic, apparently. So I'll let you know what the cards are. I'll try and remember to let you know what the cards are as soon as I finish with this. So we have possibilities, probabilities that go beyond your wildest dreams, in the fact that we have humanly a set of, if I do this, then that will happen, kind of mathematics. But we've got the magic essence that goes, if you do this, this ingredient of magic is around, and then it makes something different possible. Beyond your expectation, something that's better than you thought it would be, works out better than you thought it would be. Especially if you follow any hunch or any feeling or any thought that is random, there are good outcomes for that. I see this month of March as challenging things about your status quo, about you, your life, about what you believe your life to be, about what you believe is possible for yourself in the world. This is the month where that will be challenged and changed. Something that you believe will be proven to be false, as in not totally correct. And that will free you up to be able to receive guidance and help and inspiration, and the ability to follow up on those things in a more meaningful way. It will, you will be able to use what you know, use what skills you've got, what talents you've got. And like, seriously, I spent most of my life going, I don't have a talent, I don't have a skill, I have a skill at nothing, and I still am that way. You just do what you do, because actually there is some skill in that. There is something in that someone else hasn't done, or didn't introduce, or didn't do it quite in the same way as you. And so March, put yourself out there, put yourself into action, start focusing on a direction, a project, a way of being able to bring your view of a good life into your reality, because there will be things that you will be able to incorporate into your life, instigate, meld into your life, that will be a step or two along the way. Maybe instead of one step along the way, it'll be like 5 or 10 steps along the way, because it says if you do this, the outcomes will be better. You have a little human, then you have a big spirit, and that is you, and then you have this connection to the ultra verse, the universe, the godness, the creator energy, the big powerhouse, if you like, and you're the battery. So you have access to that. This is quite a powerful month on its own. Communication is key. So you can put that into a creative sense, you can put that into a written sense, you can put that into a good fake it till you'll make it type of scenario, where you can take on a role. You can decide that you will always wanted to feel rich, so go dress up, go have a few things done to yourself, buy clothes that say, I have money, go into a store that you haven't been into before, see how people treat you, how they react to you. I guarantee you, if you are all dressed up, you will be waited on and served as if you're somebody important. Maybe not quite as much today as back in the day, but money talks, and people recognise quality of product. Oh, even talking with a slightly upper class vocalization would be interesting, just to see how you were received. Similarly, if you want to try the other as well, whatever vocalization of whatever role, choose a role and be that person. Dress up like you're a rocker from way back. I'm trying to think of or like a goth or whatever. Just, it's fun. It's just for a bit of fun. So fun and play, and that energy, that sort of light energy, is really important for you for this month to incorporate into your month. I'll just have a little look at one more aspect of March that is helpful and useful to you. Change, right? So we've got change that came in at the beginning that helps you question what you believe, okay? The change that we've got now is your life starts to turn around from this point. So March is a pivot point for the rest of the year. Improvements can happen. Things can change around in a much more positive and productive way. It is always helpful and always useful to you. So from March onward, there will be whatever changes have taken place this month will carry on through April, May, June, all the way through the year. And we will look forward to those. Remember, most of all, this is a power year. It is a lucky year. It is a power year. Use it in very positive ways, very kind ways to one another, and it will work well for you as well. It is, the word I got was easy. So the words come to me and I say them. They don't, they're not there to challenge you. They just are there to help you gain a different way of looking at things, a different perspective on things, and so therefore useful. Everything around you has a good use for you. It is for you to use for good as well, toward your fellow human being, toward anything that you're doing. Good. It's for good. It's always been that way. It is to be productive, abundant. You have an abundance of smiles. You can share those smiles with everyone and anyone. It's not about you expecting to get it back, because that may not happen. In a lot of cases, people are carrying their troubles on their shoulders now. And so therefore you may not get that back. But I can promise you, that smile will stay with them. They will remember that smile. And at some point they will be grateful that you smiled at them that day. And you can literally save a life with a smile. I know this. Someone who is bent on doing something nasty or destructive to themselves or something else, if you smile at them with a genuine smile, it can alter their whole being, their whole perspective, and what it was that they were doing. That's how magical a smile is. And that's just a smile. There is a whole lot more. And on that note, have a wonderful March, and we will meet again in the middle of March.